The year is 1968. You're at the movies, you have your popcorn, and you're excited for the movie that has just started. Little did you know, you were at the infancy of a very interesting movement in Hollywood, as the studio system had fallen once again, giving birth to a new type of film: the new Hollywood cinema. While still of exceptional quality, these films shifted from the creative input of production studios towards giving the director nearly complete control over their works. This is where directors were seen as the authors of their films, giving them the term auteurs, as they were in control of the process from start to finish. A notable filmmaker and exemplary auteur is Stanley Kubrick, whose film 2001: A Space Odyssey you are watching open right now. Kubrick took being an auteur to a whole new level, having near complete control over the entire film with everything from directing to set design. He made every detail count, and every shot flaunt his directional aesthetics. 2001: A Space Odyssey is a pertinent example of auteur theory being exemplified through Kubrick's vision throughout the film, giving it the qualities of new Hollywood cinema, reflecting the qualities of the movement and social aspects of America at the time of its release. The label of New Hollywood cinema has been noted as being somewhat problematic amongst film scholars, as some believe it should be broken up into more specific time frames. Jeff King, author of New Hollywood Cinema, dubs this period of time from the late 1960s to the mid-1970s as the Hollywood Renaissance, and I'll be calling it as such just to help not confuse anyone. Notable films that helped to define the Hollywood Renaissance include Bonnie and Clyde from 1967, which showed audiences a depiction of violence that was uncommon at the time, The Graduate, featuring a young Dustin Hoffman, which showed a more cynical side of life, truthful depictions of the alienation of youth, and a new version of the classic coming-of-age story. Or Taxi Driver, from director Martin Scorsese, which is a violent and sexual film that explores the derelict psyche of anti-hero Travis Bickle. Films were categorized as being a part of the Hollywood Renaissance under the larger framework of New Hollywood cinema by their use of counterculture to go against mainstream political and social standpoints, exposing a more cynical and bleak reality that the directors felt were more representative of the real world. King details that these films were set to target younger and adult audiences, presenting challenging, radical views that reflected a changing world that was far different than the one shown by the previous studio system, leading into the fact that these directors working within the films of the Hollywood Renaissance were then labeled as auteurs, the authors of their films, as they now had their names at the helm of their work. King describes two dimensions that identify a filmmaker as being an auteur. One, there should be a noticeable reoccurrence of similar themes across the filmmaker's body of work. The second being the visibility of that filmmaker's quote-unquote signature across their work, identifiable by an audience. Someone specifically that King states as having these qualities is none other than Stanley Kubrick, the director and mastermind behind 2001: A Space Odyssey. While a film like The Graduate sought to depict the isolated and rebellious youth that would appeal to the new generation of moviegoers in the late 1960s, Kubrick set his sights on the cosmos to depict isolation and the human condition in his own way. R. Barton Palmer, an author, wrote in an essay that 2001 goes far beyond the single-minded Oedipality of adolescent revolt in order to raise, if not definitively answer, the most vexing of metaphysical questions, including the debatable value of the emergence of hominids from purely instinctual behavior to tool-making, murder, and eventually the transmissible culture that endows Homo sapiens alone among creatures with a history. This history that Palmer describes is solely the first part of the film, as it then shoots the audience into the not-so-distant future where the rest of the film takes place. Kubrick's use of extreme time shifts and a neglect of the present show his standpoint that the audience should not be as concerned with its place within society or the world, as many films within the Hollywood Renaissance do, but rather where our place is within the vastness of the universe, and the implications that has for our past, as well as our future. Throughout 2001, Kubrick paints a dystopic, nihilistic vision for the future of humanity as it goes beyond the confines of Earth. This vision is similar to the other instances of Hollywood Renaissance films utilizing their themes to promote a counterculture as a way to show different perspectives of the world as well. In 2001's case, it would have been countering the rising tensions between the United States and Russia at the peak of the space race, with the US actually landing a man on the moon in 1969, just a year after the release of 2001. The theme of isolation is prominent within 2001, as there are only 3 truly main characters, one of which is a sentient piece of artificial intelligence. Long corridors and wide symmetrical framing show a specific vastness that no character can fill on their own, symbolic of the open-endedness of space that the Jupiter spaceship floats through on its mission. This provides an eerie sense that whatever meaning we intend to go out and search for within our known universe will not provide us with any meaningful philosophical or theological answers, and that if there is something much larger than ourselves, it will never expose itself to us in the forms that we currently possess. Yet undoubtedly, it is with Kubrick's title of an auteur that enabled 2001: A Space Odyssey to be what it is. Kubrick's use of symmetry, lighting, and infinite understanding of minute details lead to new things being uncovered with every viewing. In Leonard F. Wheat's book, Kubrick's 2001: A Triple Allegory, he goes on to discuss in great detail Kubrick's varying, versatile, and uniquely creative use of symbols throughout 2001. All visible within set design and dialogue to produce hidden meaning and what some would call Easter eggs. These symbols riddled throughout 2001, and his use of expressionist lighting and symmetrical framing not only go to serve the plot and world creation of the film, but express Kubrick's signature as an auteur, which can be seen throughout all of his work with a careful eye for detail, calling back to King's previous definition of an auteur, which Kubrick fits in perfectly. In summation, 2001: A Space Odyssey still stands tall, just as the monolith, as a testament to Kubrick enacting his role as an auteur and as an important piece of the Hollywood Renaissance as well as new Hollywood cinema as a whole. Having co-written the book which the film was based, conducting hours of interviews and research, along with creating a visualization of space travel so realistic that it was used by NASA to train astronauts, Kubrick's hand and vision is present throughout. From small details that present a history with the early hominids to complex theological and philosophical ideas represented by the monoliths, there is never a dull moment of useless space in Kubrick's world that he has created. A place where the emptiness of space can be taken as a breath of fresh air from the tight walls of the spaceship, and machines with human intelligence plot against their creators. 2001: A Space Odyssey goes to show that Kubrick deserved his title of an auteur, and stands as a film of seemingly infinite theories and ideas that has gone on to inspire and provoke those of the future it has predicted.